I'll say this. Helfrich is, by all accounts, a great dude. A nice guy. My son actually this morning said, Dad, why is Oregon's coach fired? I thought they were good last year. They were pretty good last year. I thought they were really good 2 years ago when they had Marcus Mariota. They were great. Made the college football playoff, which by the way, with not a very good team, the quarterback kind of lifted them up, much like you're seeing at times from Deshaun Watson. Whereas I don't think Watson's surrounded by nearly as good an offensive line. They struggle to run the football, but they do have Deshaun Watson. So is it fair what Oregon's doing? Of course it's not fair. He's a good dude. Right? He's well-liked by his players. He's respectful. Even the way in which he and his wife wrote a thank you note to the community when he was fired last night was classy. And the players all lined up outside of his office to thank him individually. Like, that's a guy that should have that job. But, like, look, Phil Knight basically runs that deal. He's turning 80 next year. He wants to win. And he thinks the program is taking a turn for the worse. And based upon the results and the struggles they had on both sides of the football, it's not a hard argument. They're a very young football team, but it's not that's the business. It's like I told my son, like, I didn't say it's fair. He gets $11 million. He's like, well, that's good. It's like, yeah, but it's hard to get another head coaching job. That's not good. And he's got to move. And all the assistant coaches lose their job. But that's the reality of the business. It's really funny. It's like, I got into, what was it, Ryan, how do you say his name? Glassbell, who's from the Big Lead. He called me last night, and we did some sort of podcast on whether players should be allowed to transfer. And again, like, nobody actually thinks of, like, if you're saying it's okay for players to be allowed to transfer when their coach leaves their job, one, that's like Penn State 5 years ago all over again. People on campus are recruiting. And two, Oregon loses. Like, that means you can fire all those players. Like, hey, dude, you got to go. Because your coach left, we got rid of him. Like, that's, well, they actually have protections built in so that you can't do that. You run guys off, but not nearly as many. And most of them, there's a reason why. So do I think that Helfrich got a bad deal? Like, yeah. By the way, Mark Helfrich is one of those dudes, sneaky bald, right? Sneaky bald. He's got a hat on. Like, you would never think he's bald. And then he pops the lid off. You're like, you look completely different. It's like it's the Tim McGraw thing. Like, you see Tim McGraw with the cowboy hat on, right? Like, Tim McGraw's in good shape. Like, Helfrich is good looking. And like, look, he's bald. At least he's not wearing, some rug, or he doesn't have the dots in his head to get that thing fixed or whatever. Like, he's like, I'm bald, whatever, I'm fine. But he is kind of sneaky bald. I'm not the only one who thinks that. First time he took off his hat, you're like, no, what? What happened? So, of course, this triggers rumors and tweets and thoughts like mine from a couple weeks ago, which is Chip Kelly should leave a note in everybody's locker and hightail it back to Eugene, right? College system, great college coach. The big ego and personality seems to work there. And it's a massive rebuild in San Francisco. Not only do they not have the personnel, but they also don't have the quarterback in order to make it work. And I'm not sure it's ever going to work. But he's not going back.